Hi, Alan here, and it's been almost a month. I can't believe that I couldn't get a video out in the last 4 weeks, but I need to explain to you why. The ski area, Bryan Head, where I am living about 12 miles and over 4,000 feet away from, I'm in the town of Parowan. We're at about 6,000 feet. The ski area is up at about 10,000 feet. Makes for an interesting commute every morning. The ski area opened on November 8th. On November 15th, earliest ever, I had my first ski lesson. And since November 15th, I have been doing two things. I've been teaching almost every day. I taught 19 lessons in the month of November. We're now into December. It's December 2nd as I'm recording this. And I've also been nursing, you may hear it in my voice, a head cold and a chest cold. It never got worse than a bad chest cold. I used some treatments, shall we say, that the three-letter agencies do not endorse, and it kept me from getting worse. I didn't throw the heaviest guns at it. I'm saving those for later in the winter. I know my history. I know that when we get into February, that can be a rough time of year for me. But let's talk about Bryan Head a little bit, and then we're going to get into the main point of this video. The main point of this video is Trump, RV sales, and the outlook for 2025. All right. Trump, RV sales, and the outlook for 2025. We're going to be taking a look at what I expect to be happening now that we have a change in administration, what he'll do, the good, the bad, and whatever. So while my main focus is RV sales, I want to talk just briefly about Bryan Head. It's a great ski hill. It's a very good ski school. I'm having a great time there. And like I say, I've worked with a lot of clients so far, and I'm looking forward to working with more as we move forward into the winter. Fortunately, early December is a time for a bit of a break in the activity. There were a lot of visitors over Thanksgiving, but now as we head into December, things will stay pretty quiet until about the 20th. And that's when I expect to be slammed with a ton of ski instructing for probably about a 2 to 3 week period, and then another break and an opportunity to ski around and enjoy the mountain because by January it's 100% open. Right now, the mountain is way under 50% open. Anyway, that's my world in ski instruction. I'll tell you more about it. I'll have more videos for you and photos for you from up on the ski hill. In my post, I will probably have some on mountain photos. Put in a couple of great things there. Um, and my post can be found at rvacrossamerica.net/. RV Industry 2025. RV Industry 2025. And again, that's my main focus. So let me get right to it. I'm going to be referring to notes because there's a lot here. And I intended to put this out right after the election. I thought about it. I put some thought into it. It's still highly relevant. The latest JD Power numbers for RV book values came out for used campers on November 1st, and they weren't good. The RV market is very, very quiet. Very few people are buying, and the people who are selling are not getting anywhere if they're trying to hold their price. So if you're a seller, expect to have to reduce. So let me get into my overall outlook as a result of what happened in this election. I expect an improving economy, but with inflation. And allow me to explain why. And again, I'm looking over at notes periodically. Forgive me for that. I've got to check these. So there are two main reasons. Trump is a believer in tariffs, which is going to raise the cost of goods if he has to put those tariffs in. Some countries are going to play ball. I believe Mexico and Canada have already indicated they're going to play ball. Other countries may not be so fast to play ball, like China. And we get an awful lot of our materials and our parts from China. So with tariffs, you're going to see an increase in the cost of goods. There will be, I believe, for some American companies, if Trump can do this, a reduction in corporate taxes, which will reduce the amount of the cost of the goods from that angle. So it may be a net wash, but I think it's going to be a net increase in some ways. It depends on where the company is based and how much the tariffs are. Now, here's the bigger item. Trump wants lower interest rates, Fed cuts, if you will. Now, this makes borrowing money cheaper. It's good for business. It's great for the markets. There's no question about it. However, it weakens the dollar. So expect more money flow, expect increased monetary velocity. That means money traveling from hand to hand to hand, and that means more inflation. So inflation, which has been moderate over the last few months, is likely to ramp up as time goes on. Forgive me again, I'm still not 100%. Trump will, again, this is dependent on Congress. I'm not sure how much he can do by executive order, and he's got a razor thin lead in the House of Representatives. Trump will reduce regulations and the size of government if he's allowed to do that. And if he chooses to follow that path, my heroes in that world are Harding and Coolidge. Those are early 20th century presidents who collectively reduced the size of government, reduced the cost of government, and produced what we commonly refer to, those who know history, as the Roaring Twenties. It will produce a real boom. All right, it'll produce a real boom if he's able to do that. Just to expand on that a little bit, in 1920, we had the nation's sharpest depression. It was a market collapse that actually was worse than what happened in 1929. However, between 1921 and 23, Harding and Coolidge for about 2.5 years. Harding was president for about 2.5 years. He died of cerebral hemorrhage, most likely. They're not sure. It was in the middle of 2023. Coolidge continued his work. Both reduced the federal deficit and regulations. And again, the final result, the Roaring Twenties. It was a big deal. If Trump can do this, then this is a very big deal for what's coming up for us. I do expect, however, in a reduced rates environment to see silver and gold increase in value and cryptos. And look at what's going on in cryptos. I just checked XRP this morning. It's 272 as of a moment before I started the recording. It was 50 cents 5 weeks ago. So the bottom line is the weaker the dollar gets, the stronger real money will become. And according to the United States Constitution, go read it for yourself, the only real money is silver and gold. No, not cryptos, silver and gold. All right, so that's a big deal. The only real money is silver and gold. There is commonly an inverse correlation between the value of precious metals and the value of the greenback. And don't be fooled by looking at the dollar index. The dollar index simply compares the United States dollar to other world currencies. And when we do that, we are the prettiest belle at the ball. We look good compared to other currencies. Doesn't mean that the United States dollar on an absolute level is doing well. Do we need proof of that? How do we know that the dollar is becoming worth less? Can you raise a family nowadays and own a home on a one parent income today? 60 years ago, you could. So that's enough said on the value of the dollar. And by the way, this is why I endorse goldbacks. That's this. These are gold bills. These are gold bills that are being endorsed by several states now. This contains 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. Really. And it's worth it's worth $5. That means it is fungible. It is a functional form of gold, meaning that you could bring that in to, let's say, a coffee shop that knows what goldbacks are, and there are more and more that do, and it's worth a little bit over $5. It could buy a latte. So I'd rather have that than a greenback, which on a daily basis is ever so slightly losing value. Also, silver. By the way, you can learn more about that at rvcrossamerica.net/goldback, GOLDBACK. Enough said. All right. And I know this is getting long. Bear with me. We're going to get to the part about RVs and what all this has to do with RVing and RV sales, RV buying, RV selling. Trump also said he's going to do no tax on tips. Now, I'm not a constitutional expert again, but I think through executive order, he can get the IRS to back off on cash tips, particularly. So, yes, cash tips will help. Can he do no tax on overtime? That might take Congress. And no income tax, I think that's going to take a constitutional amendment, I believe. I believe the income tax was the 16th Amendment. Point being, all of these things affect how much cash is in our wallets at the end of the month, otherwise called discretionary income. The more discretionary income that we Americans have, the more likely we're going to buy extra stuff. And RVs come under the heading of extra stuff, luxuries, if you will. So let's relate all of this to the world of RVing. First thing I would say is if you own an RV, buy RV parts now. Inflation is going to jack up the cost of those parts. I travel in my camper with extra furnace parts, limit switch, sail switch, the motherboard. I travel with a spare motherboard for my refrigerator. I travel with a thermistor. I travel with an extra water pump. All of these things are important things to have on hand because when you need them, you need them. And you might as well buy them now because they're probably going to cost more down the road. So what about RVs themselves? It is the ultimate buyer's market. Nothing is moving. Nothing is selling. Now, when I say nothing, there are exceptions. There are a few categories. There are a few Ford Transit Class B vans that are in tight demand, and they're going to be top dollar. But almost everything else can be had for a song. All you have to do is know how to negotiate. And with my concierge buying and selling service, not only do I negotiate for you, but I also do a verbal assessment with the seller to assess the condition of the camper that they're trying to sell to my client. And being from New Jersey, I've got pretty good radar. I can dig right in there and find out what the condition really is. And I don't care if it's a dealer or if it's a private seller. My service, by the way, is at rvacrossamerica.net/buy sell, BUYSELL. So, what does this mean for a few months from now? Let's look into 2025. We only have 3.5 weeks left in 2024. Let's look into 2025. A few months from now, I see increased optimism. Trump is a really good cheerleader. And with that increased optimism, that should increase demand for RVs, both new and used. But inflation will continue to be a drag on purchases. As companies continue to fail, and there have been a lot of failures over the last several months, it's very likely that those people, and of course in related industries, in other words, if you are in shipping and a shipping company goes under, maybe not your company, but you see that they were a competitor. Now all of a sudden you're not so secure in your own job, and where maybe you and your family were thinking about an RV, maybe now you're thinking about maybe we should save that money. So overall, I see still more drags on RV buying than incentives on RV buying. So I think that the market is going to continue to be on the slow side. However, when we see which wins, there are a lot of variables. The income tax cut, regulations cut, the cut in the size of government, which is great, except for the government workers. They're not going to be in the market. Um, but bear this in mind. Trump wants a legacy. This is obviously his second and final term. He's not running in 28. However, he wants a legacy. He wants maybe a JD Vance, maybe somebody else to ensure his victories, to ensure victory down the road that's going to last beyond 2028. We cannot, he cannot allow us to be in a deep depression as we approach the summer and fall of 2028. And I believe he'll do anything he can to make it better by then. So where does that leave us right now? RV sales are very slow. If you're a buyer, you're in the driver's seat. And again, if you're a buyer and you want me as your guide by your side, somebody who has your back, contact me. Just call me at 307-269-2546. If you're a seller, we got to be really realistic about what you're going to get for your camper. And I will be honest with you, you can't go by book value. Almost nothing is getting book value. So if you look up JD Power values on your camper, the odds are you're going to be significantly below that figure. But we can talk about it. Again, Alan here, rvcrossamerica.net/RV industry 2025, and my voice is about shot. You have a great day. Take care.